Hello.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Paws Trails webinar. We took a gap of almost 2 weeks now, and we are back again.
Back
We are back
again.
again with a wonderful photographer with us.
And that too, Austin Thomas. And Austin and we are kind of connected from 2012. In fact, his images were a major part of inspiration when it comes to me and photography, because me and Hermes started with birding, and we used to see his pictures of owls and kestrels every quite often, as for us, seeing is inspiration. So people like Austin and their work was always a part of our life when we begin, and it was such a surprise for us to come across to him in real person to person, in the Mara over here just couple of days ago. And he turned out to be such a wonderful person, more than online. Some people are very friendly in online, but in his case he was very friendly when we met him on in real time, so that was definitely a surprise. And when we talk about this particular one, without saying any kind of questions, he agreed. So I would like to thank, on behalf of myself, on behalf of Paws Trails, and on behalf of all our viewers, a big thanks to Austin for joining us.
Yeah,
And he's a wonderful photographer from UK. And rest Hermie.
and I think Austin started his photography career in 2007. That's what I read from his website, and his images was published both national and international publications, including BBC Wildlife magazine. He worked for BBC projects in 2010. So there are a lot of things that uh, we can learn from him. Such great photographer. So let's add him on the screen.
Thank you, Austin.
Welcome, Austin.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world.
Hear us? Okay.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon,
Yeah.
good evening.
Good
Good morning.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good morning, yeah.
So,
So, Austin, if you can just start with a bit of your journey, that will be great.
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so thanks to Tanisha and Hermes for allowing me to join this. It's a great opportunity for me to say hello to some new faces. Yeah, my name is Austin Thomas, as Nish said. I live in the UK. I've been doing wildlife photography now since 2007. I started my journey basically as a very poor birder. My skills of identifying birds were poor. In fact, some of my best friends would say they're still poor. So at that time, I only had binoculars, and I decided to look at ways of recording pictures of the birds that I saw to enable me to try and identify them later in books, etc. So that's what got me into photography. So I did some research for about a year, deciding what to buy, and yeah, and then eventually ended up buying an early model Canon, a 500mm lens, and yeah, the rest is history. I've not stopped taking photographs or looking back since.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
No problem.
So, Hermi, how about starting with the real journey with the images?
Yes, I've already added the presentation here.
Presentation. And Austin, you can proceed with it.
Okay, smashing. No, great. Thank you. Yeah, what I've done is, and I think we've only got around about 20 minutes. I've done is I've just put a selection of owl images in. So I know that Niche in particular loves the owl and the kestrel photo that I've taken over time. And journey moved a little bit since then, but into the scene. This I tried to sort of spend a lot of time with one or two species, and that sort of helped me develop a brand, and some content that was a bit different at the time. So yeah, what I've done is I've split this up into sort of owls in the various quarters. So there's 4 sections from for the sort of 4 quarters of a calendar year, just to sort of talk you through what I see. So first block is January to March. I'm starting this one with a short-eared owl. These owls arrive in the UK around about October, November time frame, but you'll be aware that certainly I live in the UK, so in the UK in sort of November in particular is very wet. We don't get many hours of daylight, so the chances of getting decent photographs of these owls, even though they've just come into the country, are quite limited. So probably the first, so I have to wait until around February time frame, possibly even into March, to be able to get good light and good conditions to take a photograph. So this is one of my better images of this particular owl. It's always a top tip for you to start with. I'm always looking at the weather. I know that this owl won't fly if it's very windy. I know that it won't fly if it's raining. So I check the weather and I wait for the conditions to be right, and then I'll invest my time and go and stand in the field and try and photograph them. This is an example of it hunting. They're beautiful. I don't even need my camera when I'm with these owls. I would just sit there happily and just watch the owls as they go about their business. So yeah, I don't need a camera. I take one, but I would thoroughly enjoy investing my time sort of watching these owls anyway. This is a barn owl. Barn owl in the UK actually is here all year round. So they do, as the name suggests, live in barns. This is probably taking about 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from where I live. But again, same strategy. I can't, these birds are nocturnal, so would normally hunt at night. But like everybody, they need to eat. So if there's been a period of windy weather, if there's been a period of wet weather, then I know that the owls will be getting hungry. And if we've had 2 or 3 days where we've had poor weather, then and then the first good day where it's dry and not too windy, then there's a chance that they will come out during daylight hours. So again, my strategy is keep monitoring the weather, understand the conditions that the owls will and won't fly, and try and position myself and be ready when those elements come together. It's a beautiful bird. It's very, very light, although its body's got some volume. These are extremely light feathers. They are silent when they fly. You could have one fly right past you and you really would not hear it. And I'd say they typically fly at night, and therefore you can't see them either. So yeah, beautiful soft birds. Here's one just on a post, just using a little bit of light to light the feathers around its face. So yeah, always happy when I see a barn owl. Don't see very many because say they hunt at night. Yeah, it's always a special moment. So April to June, then this is where.
It's a very cute one.
So was that a question?
Me?
No. I said it's a very cute bird.
Yeah, it's a beautiful bird. As I say, it's incredibly light. It's incredibly, it's a great hunter, and just so soft. When you see one, if you see one that's like been sort of captured or it's sick, and you touch one of the feathers, you can't believe how soft it is. It's amazing. So yeah, April to June then, this brings in a new species. So this is the little owl. That in terms of size is probably about no more than 20 centimeters tall. April is also showers. So here it's important whenever people when it starts to rain, I think, okay, put my camera down now, or I won't go out because it's raining. No, absolutely not. I'm totally the opposite. If I see rain, I'm thinking, okay, dark background. Yeah, so I'm looking for a situation where I can find the subject and position it against a dark background. That way I can emphasize the rain, which adds another element to the picture. And by controlling the shutter speed, I can adjust the length of these streaks of rain that you can see in the background. So I can have dots, I can have short streaks, or I can have long streaks. Same thing. This is only very, very light shower, so the little flecks that you can see in the background are giving is rain. It's just sort of a very fine mist. But the other reason why I like photographing in rain, and in fact, Nisha and Hermes and I this week were photographing leopards in the wet with the long grasses. It really brings out the texture of the fur or the feathers. So if this was on a very dry day, then this sort of detail that you can see in the fur, where it's got wet and it's got a little bit more contrast, for me that just gives a bit more energy to the image. You can see my style is very much I'm on the floor. Typically I'm underneath my vehicle. I use my vehicle as a hide, and I will actually get out of the vehicle, get under the vehicle, and that way I'm in some way hidden and protected. And the wildlife, certainly in the sort of farming area around by me, they're used to vehicles. They're used to tractors. They're used to trucks. They're used to bits of machinery moving. It's the profile of a person that might scare them. So if I'm underneath the vehicle with camouflage and my camera, then I'm at the right angle I want to be for the owls, and they don't see me as easily because they're not. I'm just in the shadow underneath the vehicle. So here. Wow. Again, thinking about light direction. So this is you can see a little bit of green grass at the bottom. There's obviously the bird that's flying towards me. This one was used by the BBC actually as an example. And the black background is the outside wall of the building that the owl lives in. So it's a farm building, so it's already quite dark. So underexposing the camera, and that sort of emphasizes the dark elements to it. But that side of the barn is in the shade. You can see there's a little bit of light because the green grass is catching the light, but the side of the building, I position myself saying, okay, that's in shade. The owl's flying out of it into a bit of light. Great, underexposed, black background, high impact, and that's what I'm doing. Now, the light wasn't particularly friendly here. It wasn't particularly glowing, but exactly the same position, slightly different day, I get that image. Same thing. So again, I've underexposed more because you can see there's more direct light from the sunshine that's hitting the bird. The sun is very low in the sky. It's probably not easy to tell, but if you look at the shadow that's generated by the head of the owl, it's horizontal. It continues into the upper wing of the owl. So the sun is just about to dip over the horizon, and I was fortunate that I could get to a position where I'm slightly lower than the field, which just adds to the drama. So yeah, when I see a condition, okay, dark background, green grass, it's definitely not photographed at night, and you can see the natural light on the bird. I will work on that then to try and get something like this to make me happy. This again, another example of just using what available light is. This is inside the barn. So the barn is sort of partly sort of grey brick construction, certainly the lower half of it. And there are a couple of windows and a couple of doors on the barn. So as the owl, so they rest inside, they're on the perches and on the rafters inside the barn. As it starts to come out and it flies out of one of these windows, then I pre-focus on the sort of area that they're likely to come out on, and then I can get pictures like that. And this next one is just taking that one step further. Here I've really opened the aperture up. I'm probably on f2.8 for this picture, and dark and underexposed again, even a bit more. So very shallow depth of field. The eye, lock onto those eyes. The rest of the colours in the image, and it's a smoother dark because I used a bigger aperture. Yeah, spring starts to arrive. We start to get a little bit of life, and the owls at this point, the female will be on the nest in sort of April, May time frame. So the male, which is what this owl is, has to find food because he's not only feeding himself, he's feeding his partner that's on the nest. This is a 16 to 35 millimeter lens, remotely triggered. So again, I'm in. And I've got it's two ways. Sometimes I use a pocket wizard device. I use my iPad. There's software these days to link your camera to your iPads and phones, so I can remotely trigger it. And then I use a little bit of sound and to sort of get them to be inquisitive as to sort of look at or around the camera. not particularly productive. I mean, I can go out you know, 4 days running and just don't get anything that's you know, that's usable. Either it's not in focus or it's too yeah, it's just not in the right angle. But when you get a picture, you think, okay, that looks a little bit different and reflects a different personality. So a little bit behind the scenes for you. Again, knowing your subject, owls will always go on the tallest structure. Yeah, owls, like most birds of prey, will hunt from a high. So if I'm in a field and I put out this is something that I carry, the wood I carry in the back of my car. So I can take it out, I can position it where I want to land, where I want to fly to. They're curious, so they will. So here, this is the technique. You can see the 16-35mm lens. The little box on the top is a pocket wizard. For those that are familiar with cameras, you'll see there's a little dot on the back of the camera. That light comes on when the camera when the shutter is. I've released it from a camera. Well, I took this picture from a 600mm lens in my car, and at the same time I pressed the button on the 600mm lens camera, the remote camera, that camera there you see also took a picture, which I can show you. So that's the result. I get two images from one. I press the shutter once. I get one from my 600mm lens and I get one from the remote control lens. And it started to open up some other creative possibilities for me, just to try and get A, closer to a small subject, and B, yeah, just produce something that others weren't producing. Now, I did say that they like the highest vantage point, and there's no escaping from it. So sometimes I need my cam. You know, this is a different type of pocket wizard, which gives me a delay, so I can effectively take more frames. So I switched technology just to use a slightly different remote control device. But yeah, they will come and land on the highest point, and that's a really good top tip. If you've got two things there, you know it will fly the tallest. Yeah, and then this is some of the images. So in this period of time, I say they're busy gathering food to feed the female, waiting for that year's brood to hatch. So yeah, lots of opportunities for me to get to action pictures because it's just so busy. It's catching food like every hour. It needs something. When they come out. Other species like this barn swallow, like them. The barn swallows make an awful lot of noise. They start to complain and shout and alert other owls that there's a problem. So here I kind of locked the focus on the owl, and then I removed my face, and I wasn't looking through the viewfinder when this was taken. I just kept the focus onto the owl, and then I just watched as the swallows were flying close to the owl, and I just took a series of frames. And there's one that's sort of roughly sharp enough to demonstrate the type of behaviour. But the little owl will fight back. He's not frightened. So as soon as he gets some courage, he will also sort of try and alert and chase the other birds away. Okay, July to September. Then this is when the young little owls, so both male and female, because they have young. Yeah, it's important for them to gather food. So again, typically just out. I'm using different backgrounds and different fields. I mean, because I'm here all year. So what the colours are in the previous image is basically a field in the distance, as the crops. And the farmer, it's a green colour and then you get various bits in between where there's difference. So this is a green field, a yellow field. So I'm kind of looking across, and this is on an elevated position. But this is the reason why they're so busy. So it's probably only about a week away of coming out of the nest. The nest that you can see there is man-made. It's like it's an entrance into the roof space. It provides air into the roof space originally for when we were sort of drying straw and drying hay. Yeah, so and then take a look at that frame and take a look at the building, because that's where the owls were. And if you just excuse me and allow me to show you one non-owl image just for the storyline, that's exactly the same nest location but with young kestrels. So each year there is a fierce battle between the kestrel and the little owl as to who wins the right to use this space as a nesting location. And it is a fierce battle. The little owl, the adult owl, if she decides that's her nest location, she stands where those kestrels are now. And she will just defend it, and the kestrel will try and get in, and yeah, and it's quite alarming to see. But eventually, one of them wins. Typically, the little owl, because they're quite tough, even though they're a small bird. But this alerted me to the fact that there aren't enough natural nest locations nearby. So I then spoke to the local farmers and the landowners around me, who have always been incredibly supportive and helpful and kind in letting me go on their land in the first place, but now to put up kestrel boxes and little owl boxes to try and provide more nesting spaces for these birds. So then the young are out. So this is the young little owl. They can't hunt at the moment. They've certainly shown the attributes of their parents, but yeah, they're not yet hunting. And my strategy for these is they will always run to the adult. So the adult owl will catch some food, and then they basically pass the food beak to beak. And so these young have just come out of the nest. They're quite clumsy. They fall out of the nest. They're not good flyers. They're still learning the skills to fly. But one thing's for sure is that they will, when they see their parent, they will run to it. So again, just look around. I can see where the parent is. I know where the baby is, and then so I now know which path it's going to take, and just position myself in that in that path in some way. Okay, I'm conscious of the time, so I'll speed up a little bit to the last sections.
No worries.
Is it okay? Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So plenty of little owl activity as the young come out, because they're running to the parents for food. Okay, and then the final section then, what happens between October and December? Actually, kind of run out of light in the UK. I don't get 2 hours of daylight in. Well, certainly in November. November is a very dark and wet month. So what I started to do was experiment a little bit with adding a small amount of filling flash. So this is taken at sort of dusk. So you're just at the point where the sun is starting to fall. So here I've used a little bit of a flash just to give some detail to the owl. Again, 16 to 35 millimeter lens, and using a little bit of noise to try and attract the curiosity from the owl. One that's far more creative. This is almost like a cartoon character. I think it's more of it's more like something from a cartoon rather than a photograph. A mixture of natural light and flash. So taken very early in the morning. The shadow that's on the left-hand side is naturally created. That comes from the sun and right this picture. So you can see that it's, again, very, very small bird. The sun is incredibly low in the sky. And then on the left-hand side, using a flash to the area that would be in shadow. But if you see, one of the unique features of this owl is that the pupils are different sizes. So they can control the size of the pupil based on the light on both sides, independently with their eyes. If you look at your own eyes, if you go into a dark room or a light room, your pupils will both change at exactly the same amount and the same size. That's not the case with little owls, which they're clever. Yes, a few more. The other thing in October, I mentioned a little bit before, that the crops now have all been cut down, as any photographer will tell you, and Nation and host would say, saying that the best light is first thing in the morning when the light comes over the horizon, and last thing at night as the sun's dipping over the horizon. And I'm a perfectionist. I want that to be absolutely horizontal and low light as possible. I'm fortunate that I live on the west coast of the UK, so the sun sets in the west. So I have got the option to have the sun as well as in the sky. Unfortunately, in October timeframe, the crops in the field all get removed. So whereas the sun would drop and then it would be effectively would be shadowed by the crops. It's not, so I can get horizontal light field in and then the sun literally is just a horizontal beam, which gives with field. Again, not difficult to lock onto the eyes these days with a modern camera. So yeah, pictures like that and like that in totally horizontal light, which just gives me great light, less shadows, and the ability to be able to use a shallow depth of field. Another one, same thing, just the very last bits of natural light before the day ends. Surely, this, like I say, they come into the country sort of October, December time frame. Difficult. To the weather, don't bother going to a known location if the conditions are not right, and when the conditions are right, clear your diary, take an hour off work, whatever you do to be there, because it'll only be a short window and the opportunity will be gone. And then finally, the barn owls again. It's same thing. Just as we started this story, in October, November, there's much daylight, and it's very wet. It's very windy in the UK. We have a storm here at the moment, and therefore these don't fly. So on the odd days when it's calm and then it's possible to get a picture of a nocturnal bird, such as this barn owl, out flying in daylight. And you can see there that's a really icy, blue icy sky. So very cold December morning. But yeah, they have to hunt. It's dry at least, but even if it's ice and cold all around. Again, same thing with little bits of fog and or white cloud is the other way you can generate that image. Just as the bird's flying across from the blue area of the sky. Make sure you overexpose dramatically, otherwise you'll not get white as your background. So yeah, that's just looking for something a little bit different. And then finally, we do get snow, we get some ice, and back to an awful lot of the little hours, because once in the sort of December, November, December months, once the young have gone and they've raised the young, they chased the young off. But there's no need for them to come out. Need for them to go out and hunt. So it's quite unusual of them in those months. But bit of bad weather. The photographer wake up in the morning, see the weather forecast, and it says it's going to be foggy or it's going to be snowing or it's going to be icy. Then okay, the conditions make something a little bit. So yeah, that's my picture kind of reference. Yeah, so yeah, I hope that was it. Happy to answer some questions.
Yeah.
See, the first question from myself, I mean, how do you get every photo of this right looking into your eyes? It's so amazing. Yeah, most of the shots are eye level. I got it that you are lying down below your vehicle, but then how do you get them looking at you?
Yeah, sometimes I create things niche. So as I mentioned, that one of the top tips is they will also go for something tall. Whatever's tall, they will go for. I carry bits around in the car, which I use. Sometimes I create like a plank, so I put a piece of wood with two props, like we call it a seesaw, so you can create an angle of the wood. So so I will put that where with the right color background behind it, with the right the right color background right sort of direction of light, and I can twist it, rotate it. I carry 2 sort of triangular frames, which you don't see in the pictures. I can put some wood or something on there, or props. And so fortunately, where most of these images are, there are 2 barns. So there's 2 barns and this sort of courtyard area in the middle. And you know, they fly between the 2. But they're curious things. If I put something in the middle, they'll fly to that and land on it, because they want to actually look and use that as a vantage point and look down and see if there's any mice or voles or food that's around. So yeah, so that's. But I also spend a ridiculous amount of time every single day when I'm in the UK. When I'm in my home now, so every single day when I'm in the UK, I will go to see the kestrels and the little owls. I don't always take my camera. Because again, I'll look at the conditions, and if the weather conditions are not right for a picture, I'll just take binoculars and I'll just go and observe. But yeah, you learn an awful lot, and if I'm photographing these 200 times a year, yeah, you reap what you sow.
Yeah, that's true. You know, the more time you spend on field, that can definitely see in your pictures, and that's awesome. I mean, amazing shots, as I always say.
Thank you.
We have one question in our group,
Yeah.
asking what is the ideal settings for birds in flight, to capture the birds in flight.
Yeah, no, good question. I think with modern cameras, the ISO performance is very good, so it's less of a problem these days. So I mean, you certainly need shutter speed if you're looking to freeze a frame, and really, then I would be quite happy using 1/2000 a second. It's easy. It's the camera these days wouldn't need a particularly high ISO. My lenses I've got f2.8 and f4 lenses, which certainly helps. So that allows more light into the camera. So yeah, typically there's only 3 elements in photography. So I select the aperture that I always shoot in manual mode. So I would select the aperture that I want based on the detail that I want or don't want in the background. I would set my shutter speed based on, do I want to freeze this and it to be absolutely pin sharp in every detail, or do I want to be creative and actually deliberately take a slow shutter speed to emphasize the movement? So that's a creative element. And the ISO I don't really worry about, because say modern cameras are just, they can do it. So yeah, maybe if the ISO was uncomfortable for me, I would say 2 things to myself. One, why are you fighting the conditions? If the conditions are not here to do this, then why are you trying? And please, then don't try and take 1/2000th of a second. Try 1/20th or 1/60th, and use the experience, use the elements that you've got on that day and emphasize them. Don't try and fight them. Yeah, so that's generally my philosophy.
Yeah,
Right.
The second question Nisha already asked about the approach for getting closer.
Yeah.
The approach for getting. Yeah, I'd say I just use different props and different. It's knowing your subject. If I switch species a little bit to the kestrel. So the kestrel, I kind of started to work on the kestrel after I'd learned how to photograph the little owls. And again, with spending time watching them, they have certain places that they land. Yeah, they already have their own natural perches, their own places where they feel, they use and feel comfortable. So if you can find one of those, then position something else next to it, maybe like 2 meters away from it, or 3 meters away from it, and the kestrel will then fly to that second prop, whatever you've put up. If they're curious, and it gives them, so if it's in a field and there's only one post and the bird normally sits on this post, position another post 2 meters away, and the bird will at some point go to its natural post, and it will then fly to the second post. So and you can then position it so that you're in parallel to it, or you're behind this. If the second post is slightly lower, you can then photograph towards the first post, with the second post then being lower than you are. So that learn your subject, take some additional props to get their curiosity, and then I move those props to allow me to get the right angle and background. And then the other one I mentioned during my presentation was sound. Yeah, I mean, you can do it yourself. I can squeak on my hand and make a noise, which sounds a little bit like a fox or a bird or something that's distressed. I have a little whistle in the car. So again, I can blow. You're kind of like, it's two blades together, which makes a squeaking sound. So if I blow through that, I get quite a high pitched squeak, and that causes, you know, an eye to open, a head to turn. And at this point, this is when I'm taking. So it just fits in my mouth. I just type of noise, and I'm ready making this noise with my lens in the thing, and then I say that just creates that alert pose and look around, which just differentiates a standard photograph from eyes wide open, looks alert, looks startled, looks, yeah, just adds another sort of interesting element.
That's great.
That's great. That's great. Definitely. I mean, the images from the day one, that especially the direct look and the walking, sometimes you feel like a person walking towards you and directly looking into your eyes. So that's something which kind of influenced me and Hermes at that point of time. And
So I developed that as my trademark, and you see my logo on my pictures. I still use that today.
Yes.
Now I'm doing underwater photography. I need to come up with an underwater type logo. A walking owl is not quite the right fit. But yeah, having kind of got that.
You're doing with cats and birds and underwater, so definitely a new logo.
Yeah, no, I do need an alternative logo. But yeah, so having developed that was something that I just wanted to push a little bit. But I've now got a folder of I've got a walking puffin, I've got a walking Dalmatian pelican, I've got a whole folder of walking wildlife, which maybe another time I'll share with your audience.
Wow.
But definitely, we would like to, once we are back in some place where we can have a little more stable connection. This, for me, half of your talk was kind of getting it as breaking. So we definitely want to do one more session with you, with maybe with 1 hour or 1.5 hours, with more stories and more images.
No problem at all. Yeah, no, I'm more than happy to help. Okay, I've lost your audio now, Nietzsche. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, I've stopped sharing. That might help with the bandwidth.
Yeah.
No, so I was saying, yeah, more than happy to. When you're back and there's a better broadband connection, yeah, we'll pick another topic and we'll go again.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, I think
Thank you
that's
so much.
a great idea, and thank you so much, and thank you for accepting this invitation and in such a short time and coming up with such a beautiful presentation.
Thanks
really appreciate it.
I would even break into my office to do it, Nish. So.
So that's another thing. Now you have 2 days work to fix it.
Yeah. Gives me to do this afternoon.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to see you in Feb over here, or maybe before that. And otherwise, we definitely will do another session, couple more sessions with more stories.
Yeah, COVID is not getting any better. So yeah, anybody listening, please stay safe. Please observe the precautions and look after yourselves and others around you. I think that's the only thing that could risk me coming back in February. It's getting worse here, and I don't want to bring it into Kenya or put myself at risk. So
yeah, totally understand. Yeah, we have another note from one of our viewer, Satya. Thank you for this presentation. Looking forward for the next episode.
I'd be more than happy to share if people want to listen.
Yeah, Ralph also as well giving a thanks note and a bunch of other remarks from our group too. So thank you once again.
No worries. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I'm sure you can find me on social media if you want to see these images. I tend to post one per day or one every other day. So yeah, you can on there each day.
Looking forward for the next episode.
I'd be more than happy to share if people want to listen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Ralph also as well giving a thanks note, and a bunch of other members from our group too. So thank you once again.
No worries. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I'm sure you can find me on
already
social media
added
if you want to
Austin's
see a few images. I
Instagram
tend to
ID
post one per day or one every other day. So yeah, on there each day.
There's a repetition happening here for the next episode.
I'd be more than happy to share if people want to listen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Ralph also as well giving a thanks note, and a bunch of other. Helmi, there is a repetition. I'm not sure from where.
Yeah, so I'm just hearing myself.
Yeah, same here. I don't know from where it's coming though. Yeah. All right. So I think
Yeah,
we have shared Austin's link over here. So it's Austin Thomas Photography in. You can check it, and or Austin Thomas, if you search it, whether it is on Instagram or Facebook, you will be able to get it. Some amazing collection of birds as well as mammals. So please do check. And thank you once again, Austin.
Yeah, you're absolutely my pleasure. Totally my pleasure. No, thank you. Thanks for taking the time to test it and whatever, and enjoy the rest of your safari. Posting those great pictures.
Yeah, we just keep fingers crossed. Let's see what's waiting in the afternoon.
Yeah, you need to get into the conservancy. Fig has brought her cubs out. She's got 2 brand new cubs in the conservancy. They came out yesterday.
Oh, really? We heard Imani is back in Mara. That's one thing which was the news this yesterday afternoon, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
she got back to. Then you're following a couple of leopards, and Luluka has gone very far. Otherwise, lions, and it's beautiful. I mean, every day is a surprise.
Lovely. Thanks very much for the time.
Yeah. Right, let's catch up then, because the voice is again keep on breaking. So I think we'll say bye for now, and thank you once again, Austin.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you
Bye,
everyone for
everybody. Thank
watching
you
this
very much.
program.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye bye.
See you soon.
Bye.